Hello young architects. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make a Monopoly house. Now, if you've ever played the game Monopoly, these are the little pieces that you put on the board when you've bought a property. You have the small ones, which are the green ones, which are normal houses, and I believe the larger ones, the red ones, are the hotels. So you can make whichever one you want today. We're going to start with just a really simple design with no overhangs. The idea that this could just 3D print really well without any issues. So this is one I made earlier, and I'm going to show you how to do it now. So let's make a start. The first thing we're going to do is to make the bottom bit of the house, and we're going to, this one here with the money going on it, I think we'll use as our example. I quite like that. So we're going to put down the base bit. We're going to make it about twice as big as it will be in real life. So in real life it's going to be about 2 centimeters wide, but we're going to just double it up just so it's a bit easier to work with on here. So we'll make it for 40 millimeters long or so, and then however wide you think. So yeah, it needs to be a bit less than that. Let's maybe see what's 20 like, 20 by 40. Maybe tiny bit thicker than that. Say, actually no, I think that's fine actually. So it's basically like an extruded cube. It's now a cuboid. Okay, right, so that's our base bit of the house. We're now going to put on a roof. So to make life easy, we're going to put the work plane on top. So you select work plane, drop it on the top surface like this, and you can see now that that work plane is in line with the top surface of our house. We're then going to get the roof shape, and you'll see here that it's the wrong size. Not the wrong size, it's at the wrong angle. So to rotate it, we click down on this little rotation button, we hold it down. As I've said before, if you go around the outside, it will do individual degrees, so it's good for sort of precise turns. If you bring your mouse nearer to the center of the object, it snaps to the common values. You can also type in these boxes as well, type in the number box, but yeah, that's how I do it. So 90. So we're going to make the footprint, the base of this triangular prism, the same as the cuboid. So we're going to click on it. So it's 20. This here is 20 by 40. So we have 20 already, but we're going to go to 40 here. And let's align it. So you could do it manually by hand, but it's a bit fiddly. So I tend just to select both by left clicking and dragging a box around both. Click on align. Doesn't really matter at this stage, but if you don't want a certain part to move, you click on it. So I'm going to click on the base because I don't want it to move. And then we're going to, as you hover over these points, it does a preview of how it's going to align it. So actually you can see as you hover over there, that is how I want it. So then you click. And the same here, you hover over here, it will give you a little preview, and then you can click like that. You can change the height of the roof if you like, but I'm quite happy with that. That's not too bad. Although on the actual models, the houses look a bit more short, so you could always shorten it. So that's that stage there. Now you could group that together at this stage if you like this, and you'll see you have a solid shape. Let's make it, I don't know, let's make it grey. And we can put the work plane back to normal by clicking on the work plane and just clicking somewhere white. So now you have your basic shape. So we're now going to put in a couple of indentations for the doors and the windows. So this is how you do that. You take your work plane and you place it on the surface that you want to work on. Hence why it's called a work plane. So I'm going to click on the box tool and just position that and make a door. Now notice it's glitching. That's telling us that this shape, this hole, is directly on the surface. So if we were to group this now, nothing would happen because this see-through box is just resting on the surface. What we will need to do is actually push it down a bit. I'm going to shrink it a little bit more and then move it, center it. So I'm going to move it up just a bit so it's off the floor. And use the center tool again. So hold down shift and then click on the main building. So that's now selected. Align. Click on the thing I don't want to move, which is the house, and that. And there we have it. Now to make it easy to work, just to see what I'm doing, I'm just going to shrink that box a little bit. It's still just resting on the surface. Now we need to push it in a little bit so that it'll make a indentation into the model. So to do that, you click on the box, and you need to get so that you can see this black cone here, this small black cone. If you're trying to do it here, it's kind of hard to see the cone. So I always go to the side slightly, pressing down my middle scroll wheel there. And it's going to push it in, so it says -2mm. So on the real one it's going to be 1mm because we're going to shrink this in half, but we're going to press down and drag it in so it says -2. So you can also just type in -2 there if you wanted. I shall show you that. So if you click on that and say I've moved 1 and I could do -2, and that's pushed it in -2mm. Now if we group that all together, that will then cut that hole out of the face of the house. So there we go, and you can see, let's put the work plane back on the floor, it's made that indentation, which will be, it's 2mm on our model, but in real life it will be 1mm because we're going to make this half the size. So it's exactly the same process with the windows. So I'm going to put some windows on, so we can put our work plane on the surface again, shrink the window down to a suitable size. If I want it to stay as a square, I would hold down Shift and then place it where you want on your house. I'm going to look at the numbers and just get the other window symmetrical to that one. So Control D for duplicate, move it across so that it is 3mm from the other side of the door as well. So 3 and 3. That's good. Now you can push those. You could push those in individually, or if you hold down Shift and then click on that one, you selected both. You can push them in one go, and it's again 2mm. So click, drag, make it so it says -2, and then we can group that all together. You don't have to group it all together at each stage. You can do it at the end, but this is just useful so you can see what I'm doing. So normal work plane. I think it's trying to save or something strange. Oh, there we are. Good. Okay. Next little thing we're going to do is put on a chimney. So let's on the designs. Some of them have these circular ones, cylindrical ones. A couple of these one has square ones. So I think we're just going to go for a simple cylindrical one for now. Now you could just use a tube like this. It's probably the easiest way to do it. To change the wall thickness so it's reasonably thick. Change the number of sides if you want it to be smoother, and you can fill around the other bits and pieces. Remember, it's far too big. I want it to shrink down in uniform size, so I'm going to hold down Shift Alt, and it's going to do that. They're a bit larger than they would be in real life, I think, in a real house. So let's stick to, yeah, I mean that's okay, isn't it? Maybe now. The reason I didn't put my work plane on and then put the chimney on is because if I did this, can you see if I put a cylinder on it, it actually goes to that angle there, which is not very helpful. So that's why I'm building it on the floor and then lifting it up using this cone tool. So you can raise it up to about what you think is the right size. You could drag it with a mouse, or you can use the keys, whatever you want to do. I'm going to have mine slightly on the, maybe to the back actually, because I think as you go in, the fireplace would tend to be at the back, not right by the front door, would it? So, or in a corner even. Now notice I'm going around to check that it is going all the way into the roof first. Now you can see there it is not. You got that overhang there, so we need to. I'd make it slightly taller, I think, because in real life the chimneys tend to go above the roof line, and we're going to push it down a little bit so that has now gone all the way into the house. Just like that. Okay, and you've got a hole that goes down just to the chimney there. So that is that. Now, one thing you might like to do is to put on your initials or a number for the number of the house. This is how you do that. Let's put maybe on the side. I put 92 because that was the number of the house that I grew up in. So let's do, I don't know, just a number here. So put the work plane on here. Go to text. Going to give it a number. You could also put your initials if you want. I don't know, let's just call it 12. You've got a couple of options for fonts here as well. 12 there. I quite like that one. That's pretty good. And I'm going to shrink it down, holding down Shift and Alt so it doesn't squish it. If I didn't hold that, it could squish and go strange. So Control Z, Shift Alt, and it's making it. Yeah, it's doing. You want it to be quite big because obviously this is going to be like about 1 centimeter deep. So these are going to be quite small. These numbers. Now at the moment, this one is poking out of the face, and it will handle about 1 millimeter sort of overhangs quite happily. Like this. So at the moment, you have problems trying to print this. It won't, because it'll be trying to print in thin air here. So let's shrink that so it's about 1 millimeter thick. So that would be fine, it would manage that. Likewise, if you wanted to have, instead of having it poking out, you could just make it a hole, and then push it in 2mm or 1mm. So I'm going to push that into 1, 2, and then if you're to do that, let's select everything this time. Yeah, you'd have it indented in like that. So it's up to you whether you want it poking out or poking in. Same with the doors, really. You could have one of the doors poking out, or however you want to do it. If you wanted to do a square chimney, I'll very quickly show you how to do that. I would just get a cube, and then put your tube on the top. Probably want it a bit taller than that, don't we? Work plane on the top. Get the tube. I'm going to center the tube after I've resized it. So let's Shift Alt to get it about the right size for the chimney pot. I'll just stick to one chimney pot because the size of this is going to be so small. Wall thickness a bit more. Yeah. You could increase the size, although you're not really going to see it. It's going to be so small at this stage, it's hardly noticeable. Right, so I've selected both because I want to align that, make sure it's dead center. So you click on the Align tool, click on the thing we don't want to move, which is that. And actually, see, it's already aligned in that axis, so we can click on here. And that has aligned like that. Maybe make that pot a little bit taller. Now I'm going to group those together just to make them easier to work with. So selected them, grouped them. Should we make it? There's a terracotta colour somewhere. Not exactly, that would do. I'll put the work plane back to normal. Resize that. Shift Alt. Resize. And then we can put that. If you wanted to have this one instead, you can just place it where you want it. Again, making sure that the chimney pot goes all the way through the base. Maybe shrink that a touch. Shift Alt. Yeah, that'll be that one. But yeah, for now I'm happy with that. So that is ready for printing. When we go over to Cura, we'll just set it to 50% size, so it'll actually be 2 centimeters or 20mm in width, and that'll be a perfectly usable Monopoly piece. So there you go. I hope you find that was useful. I'll do a slightly more complicated version of this in another video.